everyone, I'm Kamo. Today, I'm bringing you an external review of the VS Factory's single red Sea Dweller. This is also a very worthwhile new release from VS Factory after resuming production. It's the Rolex Sea Dweller. The official model number of this watch is MON 126601. Let's take a look at its specific parameters. It uses the 3235 movement, has a power reserve of 70 hours, and a case diameter of 43 millimeters. The black dial has a water resistance of 220 meters. Its case, crown, bracelet, and clasp are all made of 904 liter stainless steel. Let's first measure some data on this watch to see if it matches the original authentic version. First, let's check the diameter of the watch's 43 millimeters. Now, let's look at its thickness. It's 15.8 millimeters. Since there's a protective film on the back and the film isn't sharp, the actual thickness is about 15.2 to 15.3 millimeters. These measurements are basically consistent with the original. As for the weight, it weighs 193 grams, which is quite heavy, much heavier than the Submariner. Rolex also makes a comparison here. Although both the Sea Dweller and the Submariner are dive watches, the Sea Dweller is actually a more advanced model. It has a greater diving depth and is a more professional dive watch than the Submariner. People commonly refer to it as the Red Sea Dweller because there is a line of red text in the center of the dial. At the 3 o'clock position, the classic Cyclops lens can be found on some models, but the Sea Dweller does not have this Cyclops lens or magnifier. That's why this watch is simply called the Red Sea Dweller, and that's the origin of the nickname Red Sea Dweller as well. The Sea Dweller is a more professional deep diving watch. In order to meet the demands of deep diving, the Sea Dweller is generally larger in size, with a case diameter of 44 millimeters and a thickness of 17 millimeters. This is significantly bigger than the Submariner, which has a 40 millimeter case diameter and a thickness of 12 millimeters. The main issue is that it's too thick, so when you wear it, it doesn't offer much comfort. However, the current popular Sea Dweller model has a 43 millimeter case diameter and a thickness of 15 millimeters, which falls between the Submariner and the Sea Dweller. Overall, its size and thickness are more moderate. It is sturdier than the Submariner, has a better sense of solidity, and is more suitable for our daily commuting wear. Speaking of the currently popular Sea Dweller above the Submariner, we have to talk about its history. The VS Factory, XF Factory, and V6 Factory are actually owned by the same boss. They just operate under different brand names. Previously, the owner of VS Factory ran into trouble, which caused many models to be discontinued. After production resumed, this model, which was previously made by XF Factory, started being produced by VS Factory. Of course, compared to the previous XF Factory, VS Factory has made many upgrades based on the original. The most important upgrades are in 3 areas. First is the dial upgrade. The printing on the dial itself is much better. Second is the bezel upgrade. The font and the luminous pearl have both been newly improved. Third is the movement, which has been upgraded from the original Seagull 2824 movement to the more authentic Dandong 3235 movement. Its power reserve duration has been directly increased from 40 hours to 70 hours, which is the same as the original version on the market. Previously, many manufacturers have made this watch, including XF Factory and AR Factory, but there are still many differences in the details of the AR version. Due to special reasons, AR Factory has been out of production for a long time. Coincidentally, I happen to have a second-hand watch from the original AR Factory here. Take a look, this is an old model. There's no small crown below the 6 o'clock position on this one, which is its biggest difference. We can use this as a reference to compare this watch with the new VS version and see what differences there are. Next, let's take a closer look at this watch in detail. We'll start by looking at its dial and appreciating the dial's font. The black dial has no color difference at all, and the size and numbers of the font are all correct. Let's take a look at it under macro. Let's take a look at what kind of upgrades have been made to its red font and what kind of texture it presents. As you can see, especially at the bottom, if we look at the red font from different angles from the side, you can see its strength, which is strong proof that the printing technique has been greatly improved. Including the small palace at the bottom, the small crown at the top, and the Ulysse font there are no issues with any of these. This is standard practice for a major manufacturer, and it's done very well. The beveled edges at the 12 o'clock inverted triangle, as well as at the 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock positions, have all been polished. If you look at the reflective spots, you can see that the bevels have been very well polished. This also includes the edges of each round marker, which have all been given a polished finish. The luminous material filled on the inside is also very even, with no overflow or smudging at all. The attention to detail here is really spot on. The quality control on these details by VS Factory is indeed quite good. Now, let's take a look at the hands. The hands are solid, and the central axis is also clearly visible. Let me point it out for every look at this spot. There's a small dot in the center of the small axle, and these details are basically identical to the original. Now, let's look at the second hand. You can still faintly see some burrs on the second hand. Under a magnifying glass, you can spot some traces. We can try looking from another angle, from a different perspective. Take a look, this is the minute hand. As for the minute hand, from this angle, there are still some burrs. And it's the same with the hour hand. This is something that can't really be avoided. This comes down to our manufacturing process. It's an issue caused by the process itself, and there's no way around it. Let's adjust it again and look at the hands from the side. The height of the hands and the details are all fine. The thickness is slightly inferior compared to the original genuine product. Including the tip of the hands, these details are all acceptable. The Mercedes hands are also very classic, and the luminous filling on the Mercedes hands is very consistent. It's very well balanced, and at the 3 o'clock position, there's a date window. For this kind of date window, there's a magnifier on the crystal above it. The magnifier also has a faint blue coating. This blue coating effect matches the original version. At the same time, we can take a look at its height. The height is also moderate. The white background of the date and the black date numerals are very easy to read, just like the original genuine product. Take the number 16. For example, if you focus on the ends of the numerals, you'll see that the tail of the number 6 has a small hook. These details are all very well done. Looking at the inner engravings, the thickness and size of the engraved characters also match the original. The inner engraving reads 1G5,000,000, 543,061G, 554,306. The entire dial is executed extremely well. The quality control is exceptionally precise. Next, let's look at the bezel. First, take a look at the luminous pearl. The size and the color of the luminous pearl are both spot on. The pearl itself is very full and smooth. At the same time, the bluish green or jade-like hue of the luminous pearl is also rendered very well. It doesn't look overly plain or straightforward. There's a slight hint of yellow, and this shade of color is just right, not too white. The entire ceramic bezel is made from genuine ceramic material. This includes the size of each numerolage number, like 12, 13, 14, 15, and 10. The thickness and size of these numerals are all consistent with the original. The entire bezel uses a platinum sandblasting process. This platinum sandblasting makes the color even brighter and whiter, making it closer to the original. It also won't fade or lose its color. Speaking of this bezel, we have to compare it with the AR version. Let me show you the situation with the AR version. On the left is the AR version, which is a model from a few years ago, and on the right is our VS version. As you can see, let's first take a look at the bezel. The font is obviously much darker on the left, which is the AR version. There is already a situation where it has turned black and faded. If we look at the number 50, and even inside this marker, the sandblasting process, the sandblasted effect, is also worn off. As for the VS version, it uses a superior sandblasting process, so there is no such issue of the font turning black, darkening, or fading. Let's compare the number 50 font side by side. On the VS version, the number 50 font appears deeper and bolder. Even the number 40, when viewed from a distance or at different angles, shows this difference in craftsmanship. This is because the VS uses a stamping process. After stamping, it feels more compact to the touch, and when you turn it, the sound is also different. The sound is crisper. Listen to it, and there's almost no play in the bezel. After turning it, it's extremely precise. You can see that every increment is just like this. Let's rotate it and look at the 12 o'clock position. The triangle at 12 o'clock, the way it points to the 12 o'clock numeral, as well as the markers and the inverted triangle below the 12 o'clock position, they are all perfectly aligned in a straight line. This is quite rare, and the alignment is also very precise. Take a look, it's excellent. The attention to these details is spot on, which proves that the manufacturer has truly put effort into these finer points. Looking at the side of the bezel, the entire steel ring features a heavy brushed finish, and every brush stroke is done perfectly. This is also consistent with the case and bracelet, both of which use 904L stainless steel. 904L stainless steel is a unique material used by Rolex. It is even more resistant to corrosion. We can see that the polishing technique on the crown is also exactly the same as the original. The crown does not feel sharp to the touch, and the size and height of the crown are faithfully reproduced from the original, including the little cucumber logo on top. The 3 small dots are all authentically present, and the attention to detail is absolutely top-notch. If we look at the side of the entire crown, it features this kind of anti-slip texture. It doesn't feel sharp to the touch, and when you pull it out to use, it's more precise and the alignment is spot on. There are also waterproof gaskets inside. If we look at the connection point of the strap at the lugs, this step design also faithfully replicates the original 3-section strap. The entire strap is made of 9036 stainless steel, and on its surface, there are subtle brushed finishes, giving it an even more refined texture. If we look over here, it's the same. Even though we've put a protective film on it, you can still clearly feel its softness in the video. It's extremely flexible. Let's take a look at the clasp. The size and position of the clasp are all spot on. Even the gaps on both sides of the clasp are perfectly consistent. There are no differences. When we open the inner layer, let's take a look inside. There are no welding marks on the inner side either. However, compared to the original, these parts still look a bit dirty, which is unavoidable. No matter if it's made by C Factory, VS Factory, or any other manufacturer, this will always be the case. The good thing is that it's on the inside, so it can't be seen, so there's no need to worry about it. As for the Dragon and Phoenix pattern layer, the 7QE and the font on the clasp are all correct and match the original, including the details on the clasp itself. The clasp's functions, including the micro adjustment feature on the inside, are all present. Let me demonstrate this micro adjustment function for everyone. After opening it, slide it upward. Once you pull it out, it moves up and down, and after sliding, you snap it back in. Once it's snapped in, you can make a micro adjustment. See, it's already being adjusted. This part here also has a folding function. This part can be opened as well, as you can see. Because of the direct connection here, it can be unclasped directly, but this section can also be opened. After pulling it open, you can also make micro adjustments. The original design intention was to make it easier for us when wearing a wetsuit for diving, since the suit makes your wrist larger and it becomes difficult to fasten the clasp as usual. After putting on the wetsuit, you can extend it in this way, which makes it much more convenient to wear and gives a better feel when opening and closing the clasp. There's absolutely no problem with it. It's perfectly fine. Take a look at the case back. The black lettering here is engraved very clearly and deeply, so the text won't fade. because this is a dive watch and it requires a more intense contrast. Let's take a look at the luminous watch. I'll cover up these words for you, and let's check out its luminous effect in the dark. You see, although it is daytime, the night sky is also very good, and the luminous effect is super strong. Next, let me show you the movement of this watch, because it uses Dendong's 3235 movement, and the AR field on my left hand uses Seagull's 2824 model. Next, the focus is to disassemble the movement for you to see how the movement of these two watches is. Let's take a look at the movements. On the left is the older AR version. On the right is the new VS version. The left one uses the Seagull 2824 movement, while the right one features the more accurate Dandong 3235 movement. Let's open up the movements and take a look. First, let's look at the case back. On the left is the AR version. Although the AR version has already been discontinued, we still need to take a look for reference. Looking at the case back of our VS version, everything that should be there is present, including the depth and size of the engravings. The sandblasted effect is also very well done. I think there's really no difference between the two, they're both spot on. Now, let's look at the movement. We'll start with the Seagull 2824 movement. As you can see, the position of the balance wheel and the shock absorber is right here. If you pay close attention to the details of the watch, you'll notice that this model is clearly the 2824 movement. We can take a look at its movement structure. Check out the finishing on the inside. This movement is currently the most widely used one on the market, and it's also known for being extremely durable and reliable. Now let's take another look at this movement. Its shock absorber position is the opposite of the Seagull's, or you could say the Seagull's is incorrect. If we look at the shock absorber's position, the engravings on the entire movement are very precise. Let's look at it from another angle. From a different perspective, the 32,357 star movement is a completely one mold-made movement. The movement's components can basically be interchanged with the original. Take a look at the red gear and the KIF shock absorber. Each one has engravings on it. If we look at the engravings below the shock absorber, everything that should be there is present. Now, to identify the Dandong 3235 movement, we mainly look at this clamp position. It's a very classic clamp design. One is for adjusting the error, and the other is for adjusting the shock absorber. Both of them are facing up, facing outward. If it's a genuine original, there's only one clamp. As for the Shanghai Dandong 3235 movement, it has one clamp on top, but it brings the two adjustment clamps to the underside. In other words, its error adjustment and the shock adjustment are placed on the inside in a hidden way in the Shanghai movement. This is the Dandong version, which is more straightforward. This is a basic situation of the movement. The movement in this watch achieves a 70-hour power reserve and delivers performance identical to the original, making it the best available on the market right now. There's no other like the Dandong 3235 movement. High-resolution photos and short videos of this watch will also be posted in my moments. If you're interested, feel free to like, follow, and comment. See you next time in the comments. Today, our main focus is on how to remove the watch strap. When you receive our watch, especially our Rolex watches, we always provide you with a screwdriver like this. With this screwdriver, you can easily disassemble a simple watch strap. It's very straightforward. As you can see, our Rolex models all have screw holes, and you can use this screwdriver to unscrew them directly. After unscrewing it, you can directly replace the strap. It's the same on this side as well. But before unscrewing, you should definitely check the size and try it on your wrist first. After determining the size, for example, if I need to remove two links on the left and one on the right, take a look here. This is a removable link and this is a half link. On this side, you can also remove a link. Before you start unscrewing the strap, I recommend using a hairdryer to heat it up a bit, because there is hot melt adhesive inside the screw holes. Once this kind of glue solidifies, it becomes very difficult to remove. If you try to forcefully unscrew it, it's very easy to strip the screw. If the screw gets stripped, you have to replace it with a new one, which is quite troublesome. So everyone, make sure to use a hairdryer to heat it up first, and only start unscrewing after it's been heated. Let me demonstrate for everyone first. We'll focus on the demonstration. As you can see, when we insert the screwdriver, it fits perfectly. Now let's rotate it and remove the second section in the same way, unscrewing it as well. When you're removing the watch strap, it's recommended not to peel off the protective film, just work directly on top of it. This way, you can avoid scratching the watch links. If you accidentally place it on the watch link while working, it's okay because there's this protective film, it doesn't matter. But if you peel off the film, you'll see it's a polished surface. If we scratch it multiple times, we might end up scratching the side of the watch link. Let's cut open another section to take a look. This link, after loosening, has had all the screws removed one screw, two links. As you can see, because there's a coating here, this end has a coating on it. Let's remove it. Look, we've already taken it out. After removing it, when we reinstall, the first screw is always a short screw. Put these two together. Let me show you the inside of the screw. There should be traces of adhesive. Do you see these marks? This is the melted adhesive. After it melts, it's easier to disassemble. I'll put the screw here. At the same time, look at this spot. It's very simple. Once we've secured and aligned it, we just insert the screw. Look here, once it's aligned, just put it in. After that, all you need to do is use a screwdriver to tighten it. Everyone, look at this spot, okay. Afterwards, we've removed this section of the watch strap. Here are the strap segment and the screw that we took off. So the whole process of removing the strap is actually very simple. You can adjust it according to your own needs. Just now, we only removed one segment. Okay, that's the entire process of removing the watch strap. That concludes today's little tutorial. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time.